What's up guys, welcome back to my channel, and yes, it is Beaded here back from my unofficial break from YouTube. The thing is that I just got back home from school last 2 months and I have to help my mom at the shop. Like, it's compulsory because I'm still living with my parents and I've got to help her, like it's compulsory. Anyway, I've been able to argue some time away from the shop, so hopefully from this week onward I'll be able to post weekly. And today I'm going to be showing you guys how I made this classy beaded cycle bag. So if you haven't already, please subscribe because it helps a lot. Anyways, let's get to it. To start the bag, I'll be using size 10 sugar beads, a cutter plier and 0.7 fish line. I'll start by cutting a good length of my fish line, then I'll pass 6 beads through it, after which I will use the last of the beads to cross both fish line together from opposite direction, like this. After which I'll pick up 5 beads, pass it through one of the fish line, then use the last of the beads to cross both fish line together from opposite direction. After dragging both fish line, I'll be having something like this. Then I'll pass one of the fish line through the matted bead closest to it. Then I'll pick up 4 beads, pass it through the other fish line, and use the last of the beads to cross both fish line together. Now I'll pass this fish line through the matted bead closest to it. After which I'll pick up 4 beads, pass it through the other fish line, and use the last of the beads to cross both fish line together. Then I'll repeat the same last step again. Pass one of the fish line through the matted bead closest to it. Then pick up 4 beads, pass it through the other fish line, and use the last of the beads to cross both fish line together from opposite direction. So now I'm going to repeat the same last process again one more time. So now I'm going to close the cycle up by passing this fish line through 2 of the matted bead closest to it. After which I'll pick up 3 beads, pass it through one of the fish line, and use the last of the beads to cross both fish line together. Now that I'm done with this cycle of matting, I'll start the next step by passing one of the fish line through the matted bead closest to it. Now I'm going to pick up 4 beads, pass it through any of the fish line, and use the last of the bead to cross both fish line together. Then I'll pass this fish line through the matted bead closest to it. After which I'll pick up 3 beads, pass it through the other fish line, and use the last of the bead to cross both fish line together. Now you see this slight curve that is here. I'm going to pass this fish line through these 2 matted beads. After which I'll pick up 3 beads, pass it through the other fish line, and use the last of the beads to cross both fish line together. And again, I'll pass this fish line through the matted bead closest to it. Then I'll pick up 3 beads, pass it through the other fish line, and use the last of the beads to cross both fish line together like this. And now I'm going to pass this fish line through 2 matted beads, and yes, it is changing. Anywhere there is a slight curve, you pass it through 2 matted beads, and after that you pass it through just 1 matted bead. After which I'll pick up 3 beads, pass it through the other fish line, and use the last of the beads to cross both fish line together from opposite direction. Using the same previous steps, I'm going to continue matting till I get to the other side. Here I'm going to close the cycle up by passing this fish line through these 2 matted beads here. Then I'll pick up 2 beads, pass 2 of the beads through one of the fish line, and use the last of the beads to cross both fish line together. To start the next step, I'm going to pick up 3 beads, pass it through one of the fish line, and use the last of the beads to cross both fish line together. Next, I'm going to take the fish line facing the matting I've done before and pass it through the matted bead closest to it. Then I'll pick up 2 beads, pass it through the other fish line, and use the last of the beads to cross both fish line together. Now I'll be repeating the same last step again. I'll take the fish line facing the matting I've done before and pass it through the matted bead closest to it. After which I'll take 2 beads, pass it through the other fish line, and use the last of the beads to cross both fish line together from opposite direction. continue with this same process. I'm going to mat till I get to the other side of the cycle. At this point, I'm going to pass this fish line through these two matted beads closest to it. Then I'll pick up one bead and use it to cross both fish lines together from opposite direction like this. To continue, I'm going to take 4 beads, pass it through one of the fish line and use the last of the beads to cross both fish lines together from opposite direction. And now I have something like this, after which I'll take the fish line facing the matting I've done before and pass it through the matted bead closest to it. And then I'll pick up 3 beads, pass it through the other fishing line and use the last of the beads to cross both fish lines together. Now that my fish line is now very short, I'm going to tie it up by passing one of the fish line through the matted bead closest to it. Then I take the other fish line, pass 3 beads through it and tie both fish lines together as tightly as I can. Right now I'm kind of using my teeth to drag both ends of the fish line tighter so that it will not come loose. And now I'm going to pass both ends of the fish line through 2 matted beads separately. After which I'm going to cut off the excess fish line. To continue, I'm going to cut a new length of fish line. Then I'll pass the new fish line through these 2 matted beads here. After which I'll divide the fish line and try to make sure it is equal on both sides. After which I'll pick up 3 beads, pass it through the fish line at the left hand side and use the last of the beads to cross both fish lines together from opposite direction, all while trying to make sure both ends of the fish line are equal. Now I'll continue matting as before till I get to the other side. At this point, I'm going to pass this fish line through these 2 matted beads closest to it. Then I'll take 2 beads, pass 2 of the beads through the other fish line and use the last of the beads to cross both fish lines together from opposite direction. To continue, I'm going to pass one of the fish line through this matted bead closest to it. Then I'll pick up 4 beads, pass 4 of the beads through one of the fish line and use the last of the beads to cross both fish lines together from opposite direction. Now that my fish line is now very short again, I'm going to end up tying it here by passing one of the fish line through one of the matted bead closest to it. Then I'll take 3 beads and pass it through the other fish line. After which I'll pass that same fish line through this matted bead here. Then I'll tie both fish lines together tightly. And here I am using my teeth again to drag both ends of the fish line tighter. After which I'll pass both fish line through 2 matted beads separately and cut off the excess fish line. After cutting a new length of fish line, I'm going to pass the fish line through these 3 matted beads. After which I'll take 3 beads and pass it through the fish line at the left hand side. Then I'll use the last of the bead to cross both fish lines together, all while making sure both sides of the fish lines are equal. Then I repeat the same last process again by taking the fish line facing the matting I've done before and pass it through the 2 matted beads closest to it. Then I'll take 3 beads, pass it through the other fish line and use the last of the bead to cross both fish lines together. Now I'm going to continue matting with this same process till I get to the other side. Here I'm going to finish this cycle up by passing this fish line through 2 matted beads closest to it. Then I'll take the other fish line and pass 2 beads through it. After which I'll pass that same fish line through this matted bead here. So right now I'm going to go ahead and tie these 2 fish lines together as explained before. So yeah, I've already tied and cut off the excess fish line, after which I'll cut a new length of fish line and pass it through any of the matted beads. After which I'll take 3 beads, pass it through one of the fish line and use the last of the beads to cross both fish lines together from opposite direction, all while making sure both sides of the fish lines are equal. Then I'll pass the fish line at the right hand side through one of the matted beads closest to it. After which I'll take 2 beads, pass it through the other fish line and use the last of the beads to cross both fish lines together. Using this same last step, I'm going to continue matting till I get to the other side. So yeah, I'm already done with this cycle of matting. I'm going to continue by taking 3 beads and passing it through one of the fishing line. After which I'll use the last of the beads to cross both fishing line together from opposite direction. Then I'll take the fishing line facing the matting I've done before and pass it through the matted bead closest to it. After which I'll take the other fishing line, pass 2 beads through it and use the last of the beads to cross both fishing line together. So now I'll repeat the same last step again by taking this fishing line and passing it through the matted bead closest to it. Then I'll take 2 beads, pass it through the other fishing line and use the last of the beads to cross both fishing line together from opposite direction. So as you can see, the beads I just matted right now is going to be creating a fold here because this is part of the sides of the bag. Using the same last process, I'm going to continue matting till I get to the other side of the cycle. Now that I've matted to this point, I'm going to finish this cycle up by passing this fishing line through these 2 matted beads. After which I'll take 1 bead, pass it through one of the fishing line, and then I'll go ahead and tie it up as shown before. So yeah, I've already finished for this side of the bag. I've already tied it off and cut off the excess fishing line. So now I'm going to make another exactly like this for the other side of the bag. And here we have the other side of the bag. It's exactly as this side, so we just make it. Now I'm going to make the flower of the bag that I'm going to place right here. This step is not necessary for those that don't want to make the flower of the bag. You can always skip this step by the use of the timestamps I'm going to put in the description box. Without the flower, your bag will still end up beautiful, but I want to make the flower, so let's do this. For the flower, I'm going to be using size 2 sand beads of 3 different colors, a beading needle, and 0.3 fishing line. So now I've already cut and passed my fishing line through the needle. Then I'll pick 1 bead, let it drop to the bottom of the fishing line. Then I'll turn the needle around and pass it through the bead twice in order for it to act as a stopper for the bead. After which I'll pass 3 beads through my needle and allow the beads to drop to the bottom of the fishing line. Then I'll skip this first bead on the fishing line and pass my needle through the second bead. Then I'll drag the needle. And now I'll pass 3 beads again through my needle and pass that same needle through this last bead here that is acting as a stopper. So now that I've gotten this, I'm going to pass 3 beads through my needle. After which I'm going to turn the needle around, skip the first bead and pass the needle through the second bead. Then I'm going to drag the beads to the bottom of the fishing line. At this point, I'm going to pass 3 beads through my needle. Then I'll count 3 beads after the bead my fishing line is coming out from and pass my needle through the 4th bead. So yeah, I'm going to be passing 7 sand beads through my needle. After which I'll turn my needle around, skip the first bead and pass my needle through the second bead and drag it to the bottom of the fishing line. To continue, I'm going to pass 3 beads through my needle, then count 3 beads after the bead my fishing line is coming out from and pass the needle through the 4th bead. So I'm going to repeat that process again, pick 3 beads, count 3 beads and pass my needle through the 4th bead. At the end here, I'm going to pass 3 beads through my needle, turn my needle around, skip the first bead and pass it through the second bead. And now I'm going to pass 3 beads through my needle, count 3 beads after the bead my fishing line is coming out from and pass my needle through the 4th bead. And I'll repeat that same process again, pick up 3 beads, count 3 beads and pass my needle through the 4th bead. And now that I've gotten to the top here, I'm going to pass 7 beads through my needle instead of 3. Then I'm going to turn my needle around, skip the first bead and pass my needle through the second bead and I'll drag the fishing line. After which I'm going to pick up 3 beads, count 3 beads after the bead my fishing line is coming out from and pass the needle through the 4th bead. And now I'm going to pick up 3 beads, count 3 beads and pass my needle through the 4th bead repeatedly till I get to the bottom of my matting. So at the bottom here, I'm going to pick up 3 beads, turn my needle around, skip the first bead and pass my needle through the second bead. So using the processes I just finished explaining, I'm going to make more steps like this. I'm going to make 3 more steps so that altogether there will be 6 steps. And here it is, I already finished making 3 more steps, making them 6 steps altogether. And now I'll continue by making the steps go downwards. So firstly, I'm going to pass 3 beads through my needle, turn my needle at once, keep the first bead and pass my needle through the second bead. Then I'll drag my beads to the bottom of the fishing line. After which I'll pick up 3 beads again, count 3 beads after the bead my fish line is coming out from, and pass my needle through the 4th bead. So this is the process I'm going to use to make all the steps at this side, at the other side. And now I'm going to pick up 3 beads, count 3 beads after the bead my fish line is coming from, and pass my needle through the 4th bead. And I'll pick up 3 beads again, count 3 beads and pass my needle through the 4th bead. I'm going to repeat this step till I get to the bottom of this line. And at the bottom of the line, I'm going to pick 3 beads, turn my needle at once, keep the first bead and pass my needle through the second bead. After which I'll pick up 3 beads, count 3 beads and pass my needle through the 4th bead. I'll pick up 3 beads again, count 3 beads and pass my needle through the 4th bead till I get to the top. So as I am matting, I'm keeping an eye on the other side in order to make identical steps as this other side. So right now I'm going to pick up 3 beads, turn my needle at once, keep the first bead and pass my needle through the second bead. So to continue, I'm going to pick up 3 beads, count 3 beads after the bead my fish line is coming out from, and pass my needle through the 4th bead. So by repeating all these previous steps, I'm going to continue matting downward till I get exactly like this at the other side. So here it is, I already matted to the last step. So to finish, I'm going to pick up 3 beads, turn my needle at once, keep the first bead and pass my needle through the second bead and drag it. So now all that is left for me to do is to tie and cut off the excess fishing line. And here it is. Now I'm going to be making 4 more of these because I'll be needing 5 of these triangles. Also, using the same processes and steps as this one, I'll be making 5 smaller triangles with the green stand beads. And it is smaller than this one because I'll be making 4 steps upward and 3 steps downward. So for the last part of the flower, I'll be using this color sand bead. After passing my fish line through my needle, I'm going to pick up 10 sand beads. Then I'm going to drag the beads to the bottom of the fish line and tie it together. After tying, I'm going to pass 9 beads through my needle. Then I'll drag the beads to the bottom of the fish line, after which I'll turn my needle at once, keep the first bead and pass my needle through the second bead. After having something like this, I'm going to pass 7 sand beads through my needle. And now I'm going to pass my needle through the bead directly below the beaded string and the bead next to it. After which I'm going to pass 9 beads through my needle. Then I'll turn my needle at once, keep the first bead and pass my needle through the second bead and drag it. Then I'm going to pass 7 beads through my needle. Then I'll pass my needle through the bead directly below the beaded string and also through the bead next to it. And now I'm going to repeat the same last process again. Pass 9 beads through my needle, turn my needle at once, keep the first bead and pass my needle through the second bead. After which I'm going to pass 7 beads through my needle, then pass my needle through the bead directly below the beaded string and the bead next to it. Here, as you can see, I'm gradually moving. So using that same last process, I'm going to continue making more string till I fill up the cycle. And here it is, I already fill up the cycle. I end up making 4 more, making them altogether 7. So right now I'm going to tie the fish line at the point they meet and cut off the excess. And now after I've gotten all the flower parts, I'm going to cut a short string out of my 0.5 fishing line. And then I'll take one of the milk color triangles. I'll take my fish line, then I'll skip the first beaded point, pass it through the second one, skip the third beaded point and pass it through the fourth one. That's why I'm going to continue skipping the bead in between till I get to the edge. After passing the fish line through the necessary beads, I'm going to do the same thing to the rest of the milk color triangles. And now I'm going to drag both ends of the fish line together and tie it strongly. After which I'm going to make sure the position is okay, tie it again and cut off the excess fishing line. So the flower is going to go on the back this way. It doesn't matter how it is tied. I'm just going to cut a length of fish line and start passing it through both the flower and the back and tying it together. I can also use a hot gun glue, but I feel that with time it's going to come up. So right now I'm going to use my fish line to tie it together. Lastly, I'm going to pick up one size 10 pearl bead and one sand bead. Then I'm going to turn my needle around and pass my needle through the pearl bead again. After which I'm going to pass the needle through the center of the flower. Then I'll drag and make sure my fish line is tight. After which I'm going to turn the bag around and find a place to tie it around this area. Then I'll cut off the excess fish line. That's it. And now I'm going to take the other side of the bag, cut a length out of my 0.7 fish line and pass my fish line through any of the matted bead there already. Then I'm going to pick up 3 beads, pass the 3 beads through one of the fish line and use the last of the beads to cross both fish line together. After which I'm going to take the fish line beside the bead I've matted before and pass it through the matted bead closest to it. Then I'm going to take the other fish line, pass 2 beads through it and use the last of the beads to cross both fish line together from opposite direction. After which I'm going to take one of this bag handle loop and I'll pass the fish line at the right hand side through it. Then I'll pass that same fish line through the matted bead closest to it. Then I'm going to pass the other fish line through the bag handle loop. And now I'm going to pick up 2 beads, pass 2 of the beads through the fish line at the left hand side and use the last of the beads to cross both fish line together from opposite direction like this. And here it is. So I'm going to arrange this well and continue matting by passing my fish line through one of the matted bead closest to it, then picking 2 beads, pass 2 of the beads through the other fish line and use the last of the beads to cross both fish line together. And now using the same last process, I'm going to continue matting till I get to this other side. So now that I've already matted to this place, I'm going to count and make sure that there are 17 matted beads between the 2 loops that I'm going to fix now. Here, I'm going to take the second bag handle loop and pass the fish line at the left hand side through the loop. After which I'm going to pass that same fish line through the matted bead closest to it. Also, I'm going to pass the other fish line through that same loop. After which I'm going to pick up 2 beads, pass 2 of the beads through the fish line at the right hand side and use the last of the beads to cross both fish lines together from opposite direction. Now that I have something like this, I'm going to go ahead and continue matting till I get to the other bag handle loop. And here it is, I already finished matting to the other loop, so now I'm going to tie and cut off my excess fishing line. Now that I've gotten these 2 parts of the bag ready, I'm going to join them together. So first of all, I'm going to check the place the bag handle loop is, and then I'll take note of the matted bead directly above the loop because that's the bead I'm going to pass my new length of fish line through. After which I'm going to take 1 bead and pass it through the fish line at the top. Then I'll take the other side of the bag, position it well, and then I'll pass that same fish line through the corresponding bead at the other side of the bag. After which I'll take another bead and use it to cross both fish lines together from opposite direction. After having something like this, I'm going to pass both fish lines through the bag handle loop. After which I'm going to pass both fish lines through the matted beads closest to it separately. Then I'll take 1 bead and use it to cross both fish lines together. As you can see, the side of the bag is finally coming together. And now I'm going to repeat the same last process again. I'll pass both fish lines through the matted beads closest to it separately. After which I'll take 1 bead and use it to cross both fish lines together from opposite direction. Using the same step, I'm going to continue matting till I get to the other bag handle loop. At this point, I've already matted to the other bag handle loop, and as you can see, the shape of the bag is really coming out, and there's just 1 set of matting remaining for me to do in order for me to get to the bag handle loop directly. So I'm going to do that matting by passing both fish lines through the matted bead closest to it separately. After which I'm going to take one bead and use it to cross both fish lines together from opposite direction like this. Now that I'm directly at the place the bag handle loop is, I'm going to pass both fish lines through the loop. And then I'll pass both fish lines through the matted bead closest to it separately. After which I'm going to take one bead, pass it through one of the fish line, then I'll tie both fish lines together tightly. After which I'm going to pass both fish lines through two beads separately and cut off the excess fish line as shown before. And here you have it, I already cut off the excess fish line, and these two loops right here is where the bag handle is going to be, and there's the space into it back, so I'm going to fix the zip right here. So I'm going to go ahead right now and fix the zip at the space I left in the back. I'm going to be fixing it the normal way you fix a zip to a skirt or a purse, so I'll be right back. And here it is, I already finished fixing the zip to the bag, and now I'm going to go ahead and make the pearl handle for the bag. So for the handle of the bag, I'll be using this particular hook, 0.7 fishy line as before, 16mm pearl beads and a chain link. So first of all, I'll cut a good length of my fishy line, take one of the hook and pass the fish line to the loop at the end of the hook. After which I'll divide the fish line into two equal parts and tie it. I am going to tie it 2 more times to ensure a firm hold. Then I'll take the two ends of the fish lines and pass the pearl beads through them. So right now I've already passed 18 pearl beads through both fish lines. So I'm going to separate both of the fish line and pass one pearl bead through one of the fish line. After which I'll take the other hook and pass that same fish line through the hook. Then I'll turn the fish line around and pass it through that same last bead again. So as you can see, the two fish lines are now meeting at the same point. So right now I'm going to tie the two fish lines together. I'm going to tie it together 3 different times to secure it well. After which I'm going to pass both fish lines through the beads closest to it separately. Then I'll cut off the excess fish line. So now that my pearl handle is ready, I'm going to fix it to the bag. In order to fix the chain link to the bag, I'll take 2 of my beading pliers and use it to open the topmost link of the chain. After which I'll pass it through the hook at the side of my bag and I'll close it up with my pliers. So now I'm going to go off camera and fix the other side of the chain link. And that's all there is to making this cycle bead bag. And for those who are worried about the holes or how transparent the bead bag is, you can always make a drawstring bag like this and put your phones and valuable inside the drawstring bag, then you put it inside the bead bag and zip it up, and that's it, problem solved. That is it guys, thanks so much for watching this really long tutorial, my longest so far. Click the like button if you enjoyed this video, and hopefully by now you have an idea on how to make this beaded bag. And if you are confused or have any question, take it to the comment and I will respond as soon as I can. And please subscribe if you haven't already. Until